All right, let's talk about one of the most nerve-wracking parts of the construction business, putting in a tender. A single bid can literally make or break a company. So today, we're going to break down how you can move from just guessing to having a real winning strategy. Let's get into it.
This quote from Paul Netcher's book, wow, it just perfectly nails the problem, doesn't it? It's like walking a tightrope. You bid too high, you're out. You bid too low, you win the job, but you end up losing money. It is such a frustrating cycle, and I bet a lot of you out there know exactly what that feels like. So let's just be real for a minute. When you put together that final bid, how much of it is actually a careful step-by-step calculation and how much is, well, kind of a guess? A shot in the dark. It's a really important question to ask because the answer tells you just how much risk your company is carrying on its shoulders.
And let's make no mistake, the stakes here are incredibly high. When you rush a tender, you're not just bidding on a project. No, you're literally gambling with your company's entire future. One big miscalculation, one tiny detail missed, and all those years of hard work could just vanish.
But here's the good news. It really doesn't have to be a gamble at all. A winning bid isn't about getting lucky. It's about having a solid, methodical process that's designed to get you a price that's both accurate and competitive. And that is exactly the process we are going to walk through right now. Think about it like this. You would never ever build a huge building on a shaky foundation, right? Of course not. Well, the very same idea applies here. Your tender is the financial foundation for the entire project. If you get that right, you are setting yourself up for success from day one.
So the first step, before you even think about a single number, is what we're calling the deep dive. It's all about doing your homework. You have to investigate every corner of the project so you know exactly what you're getting yourself into.
This deep dive has 4 non-negotiable parts. First, you've got to check that you even have all the tender documents. Second, you need to truly understand the project's scope. Third, and this is crucial, you have to get your boots on the ground and do a site visit. And finally, you analyze the contract itself. The actual rules of the game. Skipping even one of these is just asking for trouble.
You've heard that saying, the devil is in the details, right? Well, nowhere is that more true than here. Are the documents even complete? What local laws are in play? Is there some extra documentation hidden away somewhere? What's the real schedule? Little things like these can hide some absolutely enormous costs and risks.
Okay, so once you've done your deep dive and you know the project inside and out, now it's time to talk about the money. This is where we build on that solid foundation of knowledge and actually calculate our price.
A really solid price is made up of 4 core parts. First, you've got your direct costs. That's your materials, your labor, all that stuff. Then you've got your overheads, the cost of just running the business. Next, you have to add in contingencies. That's your buffer for all the things that could go wrong. And finally, the whole reason you're doing this, your profit. Every single one of these needs to be calculated, not just guessed.
And hey, before you finalize that price, think about all the little hidden costs that can just destroy your profit. Have you thought about material prices going up? What about the specific insurances or bonds the contract requires? Are your subcontractor prices actually locked in? Forgetting just one of these can flip a job from profitable to a total loss.
All right, you've got a solid price calculated. You'd think you're done, right? Not quite. There is one last, really strategic layer we need to add. This is where we go from being a calculator to being a strategist. It's about looking beyond the obvious numbers to manage risks, and just as important, to spot opportunities. Your company, your equipment, it's all incredibly powerful. But what about the stuff you can't see? A sudden shift in the weather, a spike in fuel costs, a weird clause in the contract you've never seen before. These are those hidden risks you have to plan for.
But managing risk isn't just about playing defense. A really thorough review can also uncover some amazing hidden opportunities. For instance, could you propose an alternative tender that's smarter or more efficient? Are there any client incentives you could tap into? Maybe you could offer some value engineering that saves them money and makes your bid stand out.
And that's the real game changer. The best tenders are proactive. They don't just put a price on a set of plans. They actually anticipate problems and are actively looking for clever ways to add more value. That's what gives you a real competitive edge.
So there you have it, the deep dive, the careful calculation, and the strategic risk management. You see, when you put these 3 steps together, you transform your tender from a total gamble into a smart, calculated plan for doing profitable work. And really, this whole thing boils down to one simple, powerful idea from the book. Success in this business isn't about being lucky,
It's not about catching a random break. It's about putting in the work, following a process, and systematically creating your own luck.
So as we wrap up, I'm going to leave you with this question to chew on. After seeing this process laid out, what is the one thing you're going to change on your very next bid to stop gambling and start creating your own luck? All the great insights in this explainer come from Paul Netcher's fantastic book, Building a Successful Construction Company. Thank you for watching this explainer from all of us here at Alpha Constructions. We'll see you next time.